everyone! Today we are going to continue looking at migration in England and Britain. And last lesson we looked at the Romans and the Celts. Today we are going to be focusing on the Anglo Saxons, specifically whether we should consider them as invaders of England or founders of England. The first thing I'd like you to do today is to have a go at the do now questions to see if you can recall some of the information from last lesson. So pause here, have a go at answering the questions, and then come back and you can mark your answers. So question number 1 was, when did the Romans arrive in England? The answer you should have is AD 43. So if you have it, give it a tick. If not, change it to AD 43. Question number 2. What was the impact of the Celtic migration to England? I would expect that you have written something about them building defensive forts. You might have mentioned Maiden Castle. You might talk about the fact that they introduced metalwork to England. So if you have those things, give them a tick. If you have something extra, let me know. If you don't have them, please add them in. The final question, what was Doggerland? And the answer is that was a land bridge between Central Europe and Britain. So if you have that, tick it. If not, change it to the land bridge between Central Europe and Britain. So, by AD 410, the Roman Empire was deep in trouble, and the Roman legions were withdrawn from Britain to help defend Europe from its enemies. The Roman Empire quickly collapsed. Many buildings fell into ruin, and some historians call this the Dark Ages, due to the collapse of Roman civilization in Britain. I want you to have a think about why this is called the Dark Ages. Perhaps have a chat with an adult in the house, or with your dog or cat, whatever works for you, or just think about it quietly on your own. Have a pause and then come back. Okay, many historians actually disagree that this time period should be called the Dark Ages, because there was actually quite a large amount of development during this time, and much of that is due to the Anglo Saxons. From about the year AD 450, the British Isles began to be invaded by tribes from Northern Europe, so these areas around here. This included the Angles, which you can see in this yellow line here. They came from this area here and went to areas like Northumbria, kind of the Midlands and above. Also the Saxons, which are from around here, and also modern day Germany, and the Jutes, who came from Denmark. And they all settled in England. They were looking for opportunities to improve their lives and change the way that they lived. At first, it was more like a hostile invasion than a migration. And we have evidence from monks at the time who spoke about the kind of things that the Anglo-Saxons did. And this is where we get their name from, is they are the Angles and the Saxons and the Jutes that come along, but primarily the Angles and the Saxons. So that's why they're called the Anglo-Saxons. And interestingly, this area here is called East Anglia, so you can see there the connections between them. Lots of sources suggest a violent invasion of England at the time, although the reality might have been slightly different. It was thought for a really long time that the Anglo-Saxons killed off the Celtic British people that were living there before. However, there is some evidence which shows that although there is DNA evidence of those with Celtic ancestry, many of them lived on the fringes of the British Isles. So lots of people that have Celtic ancestry tend to be kind of around these areas, particularly Wales, Cornwall, those kind of areas. However, while some people think that that shows that the Celts in these areas were killed off, actually other people think that perhaps it's because they married into the local population. So the Anglo Saxons came along and actually married into those people, and they populated with them. Whatever happened, and we can never know for certain, but whatever happened, within a few generations, the Anglo Saxons were very firmly in control of England, and we might even see them as being the first English people. Certainly lots of historians do. So, I want us to think today about how we should see the Anglo-Saxons. How should we present them in history? Should we present them as invaders, or should we present them as the first English people? The task that I'd like you to complete today is, using the information that is attached on Show My Homework, I would like you to design a leaflet entitled, "What have the Anglo-Saxons done for us?" You should aim to convince people that the Dark Ages is inaccurate. In order to complete this task successfully, I would like you to make sure that you have specific facts and information using the information I've provided for you. You need to include some pictures or symbols to support your work. And I'd like you please to try and come to a conclusion about why this period in history should not be considered as the Dark Ages. So have a look at some of the evidence that you've been provided with and how that might suggest that the idea that there was a complete lack of civilization or culture during this time period is incorrect. Within your leaflet, you should include information on place names. You should include information on religion, language, and poetry. Specifically, I would like you to look at the poem Beowulf, and you have extracts of that to help you. If you'd like to challenge yourself today, I would like you to think about the strengths and weaknesses of Beowulf as evidence for us as historians about Anglo-Saxon society. So what's good about it? What can we learn about it? But also, what are its limitations? If you have any questions, just pop a comment in the comment box and we can get back to you. Other than that, we look forward to seeing your work. Good luck!